What is going on, world? What's up, YouTube? It's Zero here. Today I'm bringing you guys a brand new episode of The 8 Below Show. Welcome everyone to 8 Below. Thanks for being here, guys, to the best entertainment-related show here on YouTube. And I'm super excited about our episode here today. We have a lot of stuff to talk about, so let's get into it. Indiana Jones has always been a really exciting thriller type of movie, guys, and I've really enjoyed them since the very beginning of the Indiana Jones movies. And as time has gone, guys, there's been obviously peaks and valleys with this franchise, just like any other franchise out there. There's been some of the movies that are really great and then others that aren't so good. But at the end of the day, guys, it reminds me a lot, if we're talking more recently, it's kind of like an Uncharted, movie, except, of course, in, movie format, or an Uncharted game in movie format, I should say. But with that, though, Indiana Jones 5, guys, is going to be coming out, and I don't know if this is going to be the last time we're going to be seeing Indy or Harrison Ford as the famous character, or what the case might be with that. But what I want to go over in this first segment of the show is everything that we know so far about Indiana Jones 5. So let's get into it. In an article that, guys, was written by Cameron McEwen and Gabriella Gessinger of Digital Spy. It's not the years, it's the mileage. Over a decade has passed since the fourth Indiana Jones movie, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, debuted, and not to a rousing success. Despite this, in the dozen years that have passed, Indiana Jones 5 is on its way, though when is anybody's guess. When the project was being discussed, those speculatively attached were Indiana Jones stalwarts, a longtime Indiana Jones writer George Lucas, director Steven Spielberg, and star Harrison Ford had all spoken about joining up for a fifth film. But this was all speculative, and in the void, there was even chatter about a potential franchise reboot. Then in 2016, the fifth Indiana Jones movie was officially confirmed. And so that's 4 years ago, and we've yet to see the film materialize. Now look, if we compare this to other movies out there, guys, I mean, think about Avatar. I mean, that movie, the first one came out, and then, of course, years later, we've been hearing, rumblings that Avatar 2 was coming out, and now they're finally kind of starting to put those things into place, so we may have to wait a little bit longer until we get official confirmation of when this movie's coming out at the end of the day. What I will say about Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is that, yes, guys, it was definitely probably the worst of the franchise. It's hard to say, I mean, it's all one of those things. It's, everyone has their own opinion, right? For me, though, I didn't think Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was that great. I just think that with Harrison Ford, as he's aging, I just don't think that, not that he's not a great Indiana Jones anymore. It's just that he is getting older, and it obviously shows in these movies, at least with Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Part of me wonders if he needs to really pass the torch on to another character, or if, he needs to hang it up after Indiana Jones 5. It's hard to say, but we'll get into that more here in a moment. Lucas, also of Star Wars fame, obviously, may have created the whip-cracking archaeologist in all of the stories he was in, but this time around, he isn't involved in the movie. Originally, longtime indie director Steven Spielberg was set to join Harrison Ford for the fifth iteration, but now Spielberg has departed the project. He will remain as a producer, and it has been reported that Logan director James Mangold might take over in the director's chair. Despite the poor reception for Crystal Skull, its screenwriter David Cope is back to pen the new film. So what I will say about that is, if James Mangold is going to be the director, guys, I'm totally down with that. I think that would be probably a really good partnership there. I think Spielberg, with any great director, I think that, with any franchise out there and a director who's been a part of it for a while, sometimes, guys, we've seen over time when new directors show their vision, sometimes those movies end up being even better than they were before. And I think that maybe it's just time that Spielberg moves on to just other projects, not necessarily Indiana Jones related. Now, when is Indiana Jones 5 coming out, guys? With all the changes, the release date was bound to suffer. Initially, Indiana Jones 5 was supposed to be in cinemas in July of 2019. Obviously, guys, that date is passed. The date was shifted back to July 10th of 2020, but even that didn't stick. Disney pushed the release back again by another year, once again, to July 9th of 2021. However, in the midst of the ongoing world situation, Disney has pushed the date back again to July 29th of 2022. For now, that is the date to mark in the calendar, but keep your eyes on this space because who knows what will happen. So look, guys, you got to take these dates with a pinch of salt. I say this all the time on the YouTube channel with all these movies that are coming out now or that are getting pushed back. You got to really take it for what it is, because at the end of the day, with the pandemic, if there's significant resurgences and things of that nature, we could very well see more of these movies get pushed back even further into later years and such. I mean, it really could happen. And so Indiana Jones 5, this movie that we've been waiting for a while, very well may, depending on where it is in the development process, very well we may not see it until maybe even 2023. It's hard to say, guys, but it has been getting pushed back a lot, which is really unfortunate. Now, it says in May, the script was given to This Is Us creator Dan Fogelman. That's 3 writers in 3 years, which doesn't bode well. Responding to his return to Indiana Jones 5, Cope said, "We're still trying. I think we've got an idea this time. We'll see." Sounds confident. However, Ford said things are coming along well, and he was looking forward to it. He also confirmed the movie would begin shooting sometime in 2020. He added, "We've got some scheduling issues and a few script things to do, but we are determined to get it right before we get it made." So here's the other question that comes into the fray, guys, is will Indiana Jones 5 even see the light of day? Will they just cancel it, say, look, we don't have a strong enough story, we don't have a strong enough finish here for, Indy or, Harrison Ford and his, maybe his conclusion? I would assume, guys, this is his last movie helming the character Indiana Jones. I believe that. It's hard to say. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts in the comment section below. But at the end of the day, we might not even see this movie. It sounds like it's having significant development problems. It will be no shock whatsoever to hear that Harrison Ford, the man synonymous with the role, will be back in the hat one more time. Producer Frank Marshall clearly stated that the role would not be recast for the new movie. That's lucky, as Ford has said that no one else can play Indiana Jones apart from him. When I'm gone, he's gone. It's easy. Get it in your head. In terms of returning cast, John Rhys Davies told Digital Spy of his desire to reprise the role of much-loved Sala, who first appeared in Raiders of the Lost Ark and then again in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Of course, I would like to do another one. He's a great character, but I have him do something meaningful, he said. So hopefully we'll see that as well, guys. Now, one of the other characters is back in 2010, Shia LaBeouf, who played Indy and Marion's son Mutt. Yes, he did, no matter how hard you try to erase this from your memory, was also involved, but he's not anymore. And so, as far as what the plot is going to be, guys, this is going to be simply speculation, but your guess is as good as ours. What will the MacGuffin be this time? Atlantis, the Bermuda Triangle, the Infernal Machine? One thing's for sure, there won't be any parallel universe hopping aliens involved. We know that this movie will take place after Crystal Skull and feature, as you would imagine, an older Dr. Jones. Ford commented on revisiting the character later in life, saying it's interesting to see it in a different light. It will be fun and a good thing to do. So, look, at the end of the day, guys, we don't know anything. It's going to be all speculation, and honestly, I want them to surprise me, but I think that they learned. I'm hoping they learned from what they did right, wrong, and what they can do different moving forward after Kingdom of the Crystal Skull came out, and a lot of us just didn't enjoy the movie that much, guys. So I'm just hoping that they kind of learn from their mistakes, and I think they will, and I think that this will be a really solid farewell to the character. Now, when is the Indiana Jones 5 trailer coming out? All the delays mean that the trailer's a long way off, and with the continued uncertainty surrounding cinemas reopening, a teaser may also not come for a long time. So what I would say, guys, let's just say they're able to stick to the 2022 release date. I would assume you're going to see your first trailer probably late 2020 or at some point in 2021. They're going to want to start really kind of promoting it. I would say probably like at least a year out, they're going to start maybe promoting it, because this is going to be, if this is going to be one of the last ones in the franchise, it's going to be the last hurrah for Harrison Ford. I would assume that they're going to be promoting it pretty far out, but maybe not. It's hard to say. What will the Indiana Jones 5, what will it actually be called? No words as of yet, and it may be quite a while before the title is released. We discovered the fourth film was titled Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull some 8 months before the film's release, meaning we might not find out the all-important title until the end of 2021. And then, of course, guys, Indiana Jones 5 is released in cinemas on July 29, 2022 as of right now. So, as I said, guys, I think that, there's a chance that this movie will never see the light of day. I hope it does, because I would like to see kind of a farewell to Harrison Ford as the character Indy. I'd like to see him pass the torch on to someone else, and then they continue the series moving forward. Maybe they should just let it go. I mean, who knows, guys? It's hard to say. I loved the original movies. I thought that they were so well done, and I enjoyed them. Like, I really did. I thought they were very well done. And I would love them to continue the series, but in a good fashion and in good way. I just don't know if it's going to see the light of day, guys. I really don't. It's hard to say at this point because of the pandemic pushing everything back, because of the uncertainty there. The other thing that pops in my mind is, would Indiana Jones 5 go directly to streaming services? I think there's a real possibility to that. It could be a title that they really try to kind of just release on, like, say, Disney Plus or something, just to release it out to the world so that people can watch it, and they may have better success with it on a streaming platform rather than that in a movie theater. It's hard to say. But like I said, guys, so many question marks here around this franchise, or around the continuation of it, I should say. What do you guys think about Indiana Jones 5? Are you guys excited about this title? Do you think they should just let it be? Let me know in the comment section below. And for more Indiana Jones 5 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. We've been talking on the YouTube channel, guys, about Horizon 2 and the newest, continuation of this franchise being Forbidden West. And I gotta say, guys, I'm really excited about it. I think that this could be, really a pretty big franchise. Let's just put it that way. I think it's going to be like the next big franchise for Sony moving into the PlayStation 5. And I'm really excited about Horizon 2 Forbidden West. I always say Horizon 2 or Horizon Zero Dawn 2. But Horizon Forbidden West, guys, I want to talk about in this segment of the show everything that we want in this game. And when I say we, guys, I'm going to be mainly, giving you guys my opinions here. But some of you may share similar opinions. Some of you may not. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts in the comment section down below. So as I said, guys, this is another one of those movies for me, or games for me, that absolutely blew my mind when I played it. And what I will tell you guys, I'll be honest, is that when I first was watching the trailers and such, I thought, it looks like it's going to be pretty good. It looks similar to like certain games out there, but it's got kind of its own flavor, its own kind of, differences to other, games out there. And so I thought, even though I didn't really feel confident in going and buying the game, as far as it being like a really great experience, I went ahead and I took the plunge into buying it. And when I did, I gotta say, I was amazed at this world that they're building and all of that, right? I wish that it was a full package, which we'll get to here shortly. But for the story, as far as the story is concerned, I absolutely thought, guys, that it was, one of the best games that I played on the PlayStation 4. I just loved Horizon Zero Dawn as a whole. I thought it was great. I thought that the character development, some of the enemies, the environments, all of those things were just great. And so now, moving into Forbidden West, you've got my attention, Guerrilla Games. You have my attention. So with that, I really want to see, obviously, the evolution here of, this franchise, of Horizon. I think that now, in order for this to become a full-blown, big franchise for Guerrilla Games and for Sony in particular, I think that they're going to have to evolve this thing. And so we've already seen in the trailer, the reveal trailer, that it looks like they're doing those things. One thing, guys, for me that I want is new environments, new enemies, new characters, and then, of course, new weaponry and new things and new ways that we can traverse the world. So what I'm getting at here is I want to see, new as well as existing characters. And obviously, we're going to be getting those things. It seems, at least. New enemies as well as some old enemies as well from the first game. I want to see new environments and new locations, which it certainly looks like we're getting that from the trailer, being able to go underwater and such. Underwater city, it almost looks like. Those are things, guys, that are ways that you are going to be able to really not only just kind of learn more about the history, the lore, the story that is Horizon, which I think is going to be absolutely awesome. And I think that from that reveal trailer, if I learned anything from it, guys, they are absolutely making an approach here that it's not just going to be a copy and paste of Horizon Zero Dawn. It's going to be a lot more than that. You're going to be able to go underwater. You're going to be able to do other things, traverse the world in different ways. that leads me to the next thing, guys, for me at least, is other than having, those new locations and all of, and new environments, something for me that I'd like is along the journey of Horizon Forbidden West, I really would like to have more things that we're able to do. Now, look, you were able to have side missions. There were things along the journey that you would have to deal with, whether they're enemies, whether it's, having, being able to do potential side missions, but just having even more stuff as you're going throughout the course of the game, just having more ways that you can kind of connect with the franchise, right? I think is really important. Obviously, being an open world scenario, I think it's great, but even expanding upon that will be absolutely much appreciated. Having more ways that we can craft, more ways that we can go ahead and have, more customization, right? More earnable items throughout the world for your character and weaponry and all of those things, I think could really help continue bringing you back to the game over time if you mainly want to play it from a campaign perspective. I also would really like to see, guys, a longer campaign. Okay, so if they're only going to do campaign for Horizon Forbidden West, I really want it to be longer. I just do. I mean, I think if you're going to pay the $60 price tag that most likely Horizon Forbidden West is going to be at this point, I would say that it needs to be, if it's not going to be a full package, that being with, a campaign along with multiplayer elements as well as co-op elements, it needs to be a really expansive world that's going to give you a lot to do and also have a nice long campaign, similar to that like The Witcher or like Fallout, something along those lines. I think I would really appreciate from Horizon, 2 or Horizon Forbidden West. That leads me in the next thing, which I alluded to, guys, which was multiplayer and co-op. I think that this is a game that could absolutely do well and actually really start growing in a major way for multiplayer and co-op. Having PvP or PvE, whether you're going up against waves of enemies with your friends or you're playing against other people, whatever it might be, this is going to help build really build the fan base and build this as a franchise. When you go on Twitch and other places, guys, there's not a lot of people that are actually streaming Horizon Zero Dawn, the first game, because after you're done being the campaign, you most likely are moving on to other games, unless you play the campaign a couple of times. You're going to move on to other games. And from a viewership perspective, after you beat the game, you're not probably going to watch other people play it necessarily, unless you want to see their initial reaction to beating the game. So what I'm getting at here is making it a full package is a huge deal in my personal opinion. Having ways that we can connect other than just the campaign. Also having multiplayer modes, co-op modes where we can play with our friends. I think that's going to be really important moving into Horizon Forbidden West, guys. And those are the big, the main things that I want to see. It's one thing to ask certain things of like the campaign, right? But I think that even if the multiplayer and co-op modes are pretty cookie cutter, they're pretty, generally just relatively standard, I think that we would just appreciate having more ways that we can come into this universe and into this world and connect and play with other people who are like-minded, who also enjoy Horizon as a whole. And I think it would really take you to the next step. I know Sony is one of those developers, or I should say publishers, that really enjoys narratives. And I get that. I love narratives too. But after you're done playing those narratives, you typically are going to move on to other games, right? I even brought this up with like The Last of Us Part 2. And look, Last of Us Part 2, guys, being, pretty much the most pre-ordered game in history for Sony. I just think, though, that having multiplayer modes and co-op modes is absolutely going to help. And I know that Last of Us Part 2 is going to be adding, multiplayer, like in the form of factions, I believe. But it's after launch. And so even if they did that with Horizon Forbidden West, I just think that would give us some hope that this is going to be a continuing, expanding, franchise. But that's what I want, guys, out of Horizon Forbidden West. Let me know, guys, in the comment section below, what is it you guys want? Are they similar to what I'm saying? Are they completely different than what I'm saying? Let me know in the comment section below. And for more Horizon Forbidden West content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. We've talked on the YouTube channel on a number of occasions, guys, about the Ninja Gaiden franchise, and in particular, the future here, because we haven't seen a continuation of this franchise in quite some time. It reminds me of Crysis, a franchise that, started off and was started by a company that basically took the name Crytek, and they created Crysis, right? Well, now with Ninja Gaiden, you have Team Ninja that's created this franchise, similar in nature, not to Crysis necessarily, but just, similar to that of Crytek, right? They two different companies that are, basically known for one game in particular, and it seems like they've almost given up on those franchises in a figurative standpoint here, guys. I'm not saying that they're totally getting away from Crysis, because obviously Crysis Remastered's coming out, and who knows, maybe a continuation is coming with Crysis as well. But with Ninja Gaiden, it feels like Team Ninja has stated that they want to make a continuation here. They're just kind of waiting for the right time, which is interesting, and I'm down to wait as long as they are working on it at some point, because I think that it's important that this franchise does continue. So, in this segment of the show, guys, I want to talk about Ninja Gaiden 4 and why it should exist. So let's get into it. So a number of things here, guys. Ninja Gaiden, whether you liked the third game, the last game within the franchise so far that we've had at this point, or you didn't like it, if you like the first couple of games more or whatever it might be, I've liked all of the games up to this point for the most part. I mean, I've enjoyed them for what they are, guys, right? I mean, they're just like a hack and slash franchise, and it's a lot of fun, right? For me, though, with Ninja Gaiden 4, this could really lead us into the next generation of consoles. And I think that people who didn't get an opportunity really to put a lot of time into the other Ninja Gaiden games, this would give them that opportunity. And I think that there's ways that Team Ninja can obviously expand this world, expand the thinking around it, and kind of move it into the next generation of consoles with better graphics. You could even have with story and all of those things. A lot of the things that you want within Ninja Gaiden, could really come to fruition. Now, what I will say about it is, one thing that I think a lot of people have been mentioning to me is the what ifs. What if Ninja Gaiden takes a direction like God of War did? They totally changed up overall the mechanics in the gameplay to, the new PlayStation game that came out from Sony Santa Monica, God of War, and we're probably going to be getting a continuation of that, but they took a chance there, and it really paid off. Now, if Team Ninja did that with Ninja Gaiden, I would be totally open to see what they could come up with. Look, we know Ninja Gaiden for what it is, but for a lot of people out there, and some of you might feel the same way, they didn't like Ninja Gaiden 3. A lot of people just didn't enjoy it that much, and so maybe it's time that you kind of leave that trilogy, the core trilogy, together, and then you start a soft reboot, or you kind of change the formula a little bit. Why this game should exist, guys, is because this has become a staple in gaming, whether people want to admit it or not. Look, Ryu Hayabusa being one of the most iconic characters in all of gaming, guys, at the end of the day, I just think that we've seen him, his character in like the Dead or Alive series and all of that, but it's not the same when we look at, Ninja Gaiden. We want to see that continuation. We want to see what happens in the story, the further evolution. And I want to see, more than anything, Team Ninja continue to expand upon what their thinking was with the first, games that they made in this franchise. I want to see a more expanded story. I want to see multiplayer elements. I want to see co-op elements. I want to see ways in which we can connect with this series and this game, Ninja Gaiden 4 in particular, more than we ever have in the past. And so, why I think it should exist is another reason, on top of all of that, guys, is that this would continue the legacy. It would continue the lore, the story of what Ninja Gaiden is all about. And I would love to see it, guys. I mean, look, you could add new combos. You could add so many different things to this franchise that I think could really make it another staple in, the next generation of consoles. I think it could really make its mark, and I would love to see that continuation. And I know a lot of you out there would also like to see the continuation. At this point in time, guys, it sounds like Team Ninja is absolutely talking. The rumblings are happening, guys. They may already be in development for Ninja Gaiden 4. But I think that maybe taking some more chances on this game is something that Team Ninja needs to do in order for this franchise to evolve in a way that's going to grow it significantly. Now, look, we all know that some of these games that are more meant for mature audiences don't have huge expanded, amounts of like community. But at the same time, games like The Last of Us, just for example, guys, has a massive community, and that's a pretty gritty, dark story. So what I'm getting at here is that Ninja Gaiden, even though it's gory, even though it's got all of the, a lot of things within it that are meant for mature audiences, there are people that would be willing to play something like this moving into the next generation of consoles, the upgraded graphics, the expansion on the lore in that story and all of that, guys. I would just love it. I would love to see maybe something kind of similar to God of War, where you made it more of an open world. You kind of changed some of the things in Ninja Gaiden, some of those gameplay, some of those core, mechanics and such. You don't get totally away from it, but you change things in a way that keeps it fresh, keeps you coming back to the game and to the franchise. I think you could really change it up. And I think Team Ninja, this being the game that kind of started their legacy as a company, I do believe they need to move forward with Ninja Gaiden 4 if they aren't already. Let me know though, guys, in the comment section below, do you want to see Ninja Gaiden 4? And do you think it should exist or you think it shouldn't exist? Let me know, and for more Ninja Gaiden 4 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. I've said this before on the YouTube channel, I'll say it again, that Resident Evil Village, guys, is pretty much one of my most anticipated games of 2021 now, and it's one of those games that's going to be coming out, and probably a lot more guys are going to be getting announced for the 2021 slot. And I gotta say, I've said this, a number of occasions, I'm a huge fan of the horror genre, and what I want to see, though, with Resident Evil Village are a number of things here. There's a lot of things that we can break down, that we can discuss here, on the YouTube channel, and I want to get your guys' feedback on this. You guys can check out all the Resident Evil Village content on the YouTube channel up to this point, and I also, in this segment of the show, I want to talk about everything that we want in this game. I think there's a number of things that we want, that we truly want to see moving forward. I think there's things that we want to be surprised about. I think there's things that we want there to be a lot of, mystery to, a lot of psychological elements, which looks like that's exactly the kind of tone that they might be going in with Resident Evil Village. I gotta say, ever since Biohazard, I'm all in once again in this franchise. And look, I'll say this. Resident Evil, guys, as a franchise is great. I love it. I really started playing the game in Resident Evil 5. That's when I kind of started, and I loved the concept, right? But I loved the elements after going back to some of the other games and kind of seeing like more of the horror elements of it. I really wanted them to go back to the horror over the action, and they did with Biohazard. And it looks like now moving into Village, it's hard to say, are they going more horror again? Or are they going to be doing, more action? It's hard to say, but I definitely want to kind of break those things down and talk about everything that we want, guys. So let me know in the comment section below what you guys want to see in Resident Evil 8. So let's get into it. So coming in at number 1 for me, guys, is with Resident Evil 8, that being Resident Evil Village. I really want there to be, obviously the direct continuation from Biohazard into this, into this world of Village. I'm very excited about it. I obviously want there to be a lot of mystery, a lot of, psychological elements, as I had alluded to. I think that's going to make this a very twisty, mind-bendy type of title, and I can't wait for that. I also want it to be more based on horror once again than action. Now, it's already been stated by Capcom that they are going to be going where they're going to have more action elements in this one than they did in Biohazard, which, look, at least we got Biohazard, which was that true horror, title or continuation for Resident Evil. This, if they want to add a little more action, okay. But I just don't want them to go totally away from, like, what has made Resident Evil so great in the past, that being the horror elements, right? And so I really want to see new characters, new environments, as well as new enemies, and it looks like we're going to be getting all of those things in this game. A lot of the enemies in this game, I love the concept of the werewolves. I love the way the werewolves look, at least from the reveal trailer. I love some of these characters that it gives me kind of some very interesting vibes, guys, of the different, villains that look like that are going to be in this game, and some of the characters that you're going to be coming across in this game look to be kind of picking up where they left off with Biohazard, and I love that. I really do. It gives you this eerie sense very, it's an unnerving experience, it seems to me, just by watching the trailer. Then you got the puzzles. You've got, different ways that we're going to kind of traverse this world, I think, and that's going to make this a really interesting experience as well at the end of the day. Having those puzzles, guys, I think, keeps you on your toes as you're going, and the horror elements of this, I think, could be pretty terrifying. Will it be as terrifying as Biohazard? Well, we'll just have to kind of wait and see, obviously. So that's kind of like the main thing for me, guys, is having those new environments, having the new enemies, new characters, as well as existing characters, existing enemies and such. I know there's a lot of things that people want to come back from Biohazard, or a lot of things that people don't want to come back. We'll just have to kind of wait and see, and I'll give you guys further information as more information comes out about what's being confirmed that's going to be in Resident Evil Village and what is not. The next thing for me, though, guys, is more of a kind of, if you're going to go based on a more action over horror elements in Village, I really want there to be more of a open world setting, even if it's just semi-open world. We obviously know with Biohazard it was pretty constrained. It was tight corridors. It was, very claustrophobic. I want there to be this also in Village, but at the same time, I'd like to be able to explore the Village. I'd like to be able to go places and explore the Village. Pretty much for the most part, from the trailer, if I remember correctly, it was mainly night, at nighttime, throughout the course of the trailer. It doesn't look like there's very many, daylight hours. Maybe there will be as we get closer. We'll see more gameplay and such, but it seems like it's going to be mainly at night, and so that will be a very interesting sense of a nervousness for us. But I really want to see there be like a semi-open world setting where you're able to explore, even if it's not like super immersive, being able to explore, find different collectibles where you learn more about the lore, the story of the Village. Understanding the Village, I think, is going to be really important as well. And, I just want them not to go away from the horror, where they're just going to be kind of replacing that with significant amounts of action instead of the horror elements. The horror elements obviously make this such a terrifying experience. Now, what I'll get to next, guys, is I really want to see multiplayer and co-op. I think that we've seen some multiplayer elements, co-op elements that have come into some of the Resident Evil games. What I really want to see, though, is a multiplayer experience as well as some co-op experience, whether that's co-op missions or you just play the campaign with your friends, play the multiplayer with your friends, whatever it might be. I really want to see multiplayer in this in a major way. Even think of like Dead by Daylight or something where it's like a 3v1 type of scenario where you're trying to escape, you're trying to do a horde mode where you're going up against waves and waves of werewolves or enemies and such with your friends. That could give you, hours upon hours of fun, guys, and excitement. Because look, after you beat the game, no matter how long it is, if there's not anything else to do in the game and you have to wait for DLC, you're going to move on to other games. And I think Capcom, they need to move in this direction where they are actually, putting multiplayer and putting, all of those things into their games. I mean, I look at a comparison like Devil May Cry. I think Devil May Cry absolutely needs to have multiplayer elements to it. I think it's primed for multiplayer. And so Resident Evil, they are adding it. It seems a little bit more to their, titles, but they really need to do that in this title, in my opinion. This is one of their staple games, guys. I truly believe that they need to have multiplayer as well as co-op modes. So when you're done with the main story, even if you want to play it through a second time, which is a lot of times what I will do, and look for other collectibles and such, after it's done, you're not going to want me just to move on to another game. You're going to want me to stay there and play some multiplayer, play co-op and such. that also helps build community. That helps you build the legacy of the game, and it brings people back. You'll get more people streaming on Twitch. You'll have more people talking about it on YouTube. And so I think that those things are incredibly important, guys, moving into Resident Evil Village, and I really hope that they do it. I just think it's going to be incredibly important for the success of the game, in my opinion. Now, lastly, though, guys, this is going to be a very controversial one, but I definitely want to hear from you guys about this. I've stated this in the past about certain titles. The question is, and most likely they won't do this, but making the game free to play, or at least certain aspects of it free to play. So let me give you an example. Call of Duty, guys, they give you, as far as your package is concerned, if you buy a copy of the game, you get not only you obviously get a multiplayer, a full-blown campaign, you also get, you know, co-op elements, and then of course Warzone is free to play for everyone, which is the BR mode. And what I'm getting at is more and more AAA games are going free to play in one capacity or another. And so what I would love to see is, with Resident Evil Village, helping to build the scene, guys, make it a free-to-play multiplayer experience. You would get a lot of people in there to play the game, which is going to help build the scene. It's going to pretty much continue that, you know, the continuation of the game. I mean, you think of, you know, Elder Scrolls Online. Whether you like it or not, they're consistently updating it. You can consistently update Resident Evil Online or something if that's what they decided to call it. What I'm getting at, guys, is really continuing to build the community here. Sure, Resident Evil has done a great job of building a community, but at the end of the day, I think that there's so much more potential here with Resident Evil Village, just based around what they've shown us so far. I think there's a ton of potential, so I would love to see them do that, and maybe just have certain elements of it, maybe multiplayer, whatever it might be, make those free to play. But let me know, guys. Do you guys agree with some of those things? Do you guys disagree with things that I want in Resident Evil Village? Let me know in the comment section below. And for more Resident Evil Village content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. And with that being said, everyone, I hope you guys did enjoy this episode of the 8 Below Show. And if you guys did, leave a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, stay positive, and as always, I'll talk to you guys all in the next one. Peace.